Hello and welcome to this video tutorial for the Space Combat Kit for Unity, where I'll be showing you how to set up a vehicle camera in your game and create different camera views for your vehicles. So I have a simple scene here set up with the player and a space fighter, and the space fighter is added to the starting vehicle field on the player's game agent component. So when the scene starts, the player will enter this space fighter, and if we run the game, you'll see that I can control the vehicle, but the camera doesn't follow. Before we go on, let's take a quick look at how the camera system works in this kit. There are three different parts. The vehicle camera is a component that we add to the main camera that enables us to send input for changing the field of view, changing the camera view, and so on. Vehicle camera controllers are scripts that determine how the vehicle camera behaves for different classes of vehicles. Every vehicle class you create for your game must have a camera controller. Thirdly, we have camera view targets. These determine the position and rotation of the vehicle camera for different camera views. So the first thing we're going to be doing here is adding a vehicle camera component to the main camera. Click on Add Component, search for the vehicle camera, and add it. You'll see a bunch of settings here in the inspector. The starting target vehicle is the vehicle that this camera will start following when the scene starts. The main camera is a reference to the main camera. We have a list of auxiliary cameras, which are other cameras in our scene which must respond to events that occur on the vehicle camera, such as changing the field of view, changing the camera view, and so on. An auxiliary camera has an auxiliary camera controller component added. Then we have a bunch of events here for when the target vehicle is set, when the vehicle camera view target, which we'll discuss in a minute, changes, and when the field of view changes. Next, let's set up a camera controller for our space fighter. Create a new game object as a child of the vehicle camera. Let's call it Space Fighter Camera Controller, and we'll add a Space Fighter Camera Controller component. Now, before we go on, an important thing to understand about the way that the camera controllers work in this kit is that you add your camera controllers as children of the vehicle camera. When the vehicle camera starts following a new vehicle, it will look amongst all of the camera controllers in its hierarchy, find one which has a vehicle class corresponding to that of the new vehicle, and it will run the first one that it finds. All of the others will be disabled. Second, every camera controller must extend the vehicle camera controller base class. So if we take a look at the inspector of the Space Fighter camera controller, there's a bunch of settings for us here. The vehicle class is the class of vehicle that this camera controller is for. In this case, we have Space Fighter. Our Space Fighter, and on the vehicle component, has a vehicle class of Space Fighter too, so it will be compatible with this camera controller. Next, we have the starting view. This is the camera view that this camera controller defaults to when the scene starts. Next, we have the default to first available view setting. When this is checked, then if the starting view is not found on the vehicle, it will default to the first available one. Next, we have a bunch of settings here for how the field of view changes during boost. So that pretty much does it for our camera controller. Next, we need to add camera view targets to our vehicle. Now, I'm using the Space Fighter friendly prefab here, which already has a bunch of camera view targets set up. We have an interior view target, which you can see is positioned in the cockpit. Then we have an exterior view target, which is positioned behind and above the vehicle. What we're going to do now is add a new camera view for a side view. Let's create a new game object in the vehicle's hierarchy and call it Side View Target. Then we'll add a Camera View Target component. And in the inspector, we'll see a bunch of settings. The sorting index determines how this camera view is ordered in the list when cycling between camera views, forwards and backwards. It determines the order of the camera views. So for interior view we have 0, which is first. Exterior view we have 1. And for side view we'll put 2 last. Now for the camera view, we want to add a new camera view for the side view. Let's go to the vehicle camera view script, and we can add new camera views to this enum. Remember to always add values to the end of the enum because they're stored by index, and if you change anything in the beginning or middle, it can mess up some of the values you've already set in your scenes or in your prefab. So let's add side here, save it. Now if we go back, we can see our side view here, which we'll set. The parent camera setting, if you check that, then the camera will be parented to this camera view target, which means that it will always have the same position and rotation as the camera view target. In the position settings, we can lock the position, which we'll do. This means that there's no lag between the camera and the camera view target in terms of position. Next, we have the position follow strength. If we hadn't locked this position here, it would determine how fast the camera tries to follow the camera view target in this view. So for example, if we have the camera following the vehicle, we might want it to ease in and out when the vehicle is accelerating and decelerating. So we wouldn't lock the position, and we would set that position follow strength. Next, we have the spin offset coefficient. That's a value that creates more of a sensation of rolling the vehicle by rolling the camera as well, which can make the game feel more responsive and more fun. In the rotation settings, we can lock the camera forward vector. This means that the camera will be always pointing in the same direction as the camera view target, but can still roll relative to the camera view target. For example, if we have the camera following the space fighter behind, we want the camera to be always pointing in the same direction as the space fighter so that when we're firing the weapons, it's always accurate. But we want to have the camera able to roll relative to the space fighter. Lock rotation, if we check that, which we will do here, the camera will always follow the exact rotation of the camera view target. And the rotation follow strength, if we hadn't locked that, would determine how fast the camera tries to follow the rotation of the camera view target in this view. So let's go to our vehicle camera. We'll set the starting target vehicle to our space fighter. We'll also go to our space fighter camera controller and set the starting view to side. Finally, let's go to our side view target and position it out to the side and rotate it to face the vehicle, and maybe a little bit up. And then let's run the game. We have a side view for our space fighter. So it's easy as that to create camera views for your game. Now let's take a deeper look into the functionality provided by the vehicle camera. We'll open that script up. We have a bunch of methods here for set vehicle, which sets the target vehicle for this vehicle camera. We can cycle the camera view forwards or backwards. We can set the view using a camera view target reference. We can set the view down here using a vehicle camera view enum value. And we can set the view using an integer. Now remember that enums are stored by index, so interior is index 0, exterior is index 1, and side is index 2. So if we pass 0, we'll get interior view, if we pass 1, we'll get exterior view, and 2 will get side view. We can set the field of view here. We can also disable all of the camera controllers temporarily if we'd like to get control of the main camera, for example, for creating a cutscene or something like that. Now let's take a quick look at how to use this functionality with our input script. Now the player already has in the general vehicle controls a camera view controls component. This is a custom vehicle input script. So we have a bunch of input items here for changing the camera view with a key press. First, we want to set up, so when we press the 1 key, we go to interior view. So on input down, when this key is pressed, we'll add an event, drag the vehicle camera in there, open the vehicle camera component and set that to set view, and we'll pass a value of 0. Remember that interior view is index 0. Secondly, we want to press 2 and get exterior view. So we'll add an event here, drag the vehicle camera in, select the vehicle camera component, and set view, and we'll put that 1, which is the second value in our enum, which is the exterior view. Now we want to add a new input, so when we press the 3 key, we can have our side view. So we'll add another input item, make that 3. We'll call that side view. And when we press the alpha 3, which is the 3 key, we want to have the vehicle camera set the view to index 2, which is the third value in our enum, which is our side view. So now, when we run the game, if we press 1, we get interior view. If we press 2, we get exterior view. 3, we get side view. So that's how easy it is to set up powerful camera functionality in your game and set up new camera views for our vehicles. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.